The atmosphere in the studio was electric as Barack Obama sat across from Donald Trump, cameras rolling and millions of viewers tuned in around the world. The tension was palpable, with every eye on the former president and the current host, who tried to keep the discussion civil. Trump, as expected, leaned back in his chair with a smirk, ready to dominate the conversation with his trademark confidence and barbed remarks. He opened his mouth to make a pointed comment about policies, past decisions, and alleged failures, clearly intending to provoke a reaction from Obama. The audience held its breath, sensing that this exchange would not be ordinary. Obama, however, remained calm, composed, and collected, his demeanor a sharp contrast to Trump's usual theatrics. Every word he chose, every pause, carried weight, signaling that he had prepared for this moment and would not be easily baited. Trump continued, leaning forward slightly, attempting to push the narrative that he was still the superior statesman and that Obama's tenure had been full of mistakes. He gestured wildly, trying to assert dominance, relying on theatrics that had worked countless times in the past. The audience shifted uncomfortably as the tension thickened. Obama listened patiently, nodding subtly but not interrupting, his expression unchanged. For a moment it seemed like Trump might be gaining the upper hand as he punctuated his sentences, with dramatic hand motions and raised eyebrows, trying to unsettle the former president. But then, without warning, Obama leaned forward, a slight smile forming on his lips, and delivered a single line that cut through the room like a blade. "It's fascinating how loudly you speak when facts are optional," Obama said, his tone calm but unmistakably firm. The words echoed in the studio, reverberating across the cameras and into living rooms nationwide. For a split second, no one moved. Trump's confident smirk faltered, his jaw tightening as the words sank in. The audience erupted into murmurs, a mix of astonishment and delight, realizing they had just witnessed a verbal takedown of unprecedented precision. The line wasn't shouted or aggressive. It carried the authority and sharp intellect that Obama had long been known for. In just a few words, he had reframed the entire conversation, placing the focus on credibility, logic, and evidence, rather than theatrics or bluster. Trump opened his mouth to respond, but found himself momentarily speechless. His usual arsenal of one-liners, insults, and exaggerated claims seemed inadequate in the face of Obama's calm dissection. The studio cameras captured his hesitation, the slight stutter in his voice, and the subtle flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. The host, sensing the gravity of the moment, allowed the silence to linger, letting the impact of Obama's words resonate fully. The audience, meanwhile, leaned forward, captivated by the unfolding drama. It was clear to everyone present that this was a turning point, a moment when intellect and poise triumphed over bluster and bravado. Finally, Trump attempted to recover, trying to dismiss the remark as a political jab or light humor. But his tone lacked conviction. The sharpness of Obama's line had already framed the narrative in the minds of viewers. Credibility mattered, facts mattered, and empty rhetoric was easily called out. The former president didn't rise to bait, didn't retaliate with insults or sarcasm. He remained seated, his eyes calm, his presence commanding. Each subsequent comment from Trump seemed smaller, less confident, as if the air had been drained from the argument. Obama had seized the psychological advantage without raising his voice, without theatrics, relying solely on wit and composure. As the discussion moved on to policy specifics, Obama continued to demonstrate his mastery of nuance, evidence, and articulation. Each of Trump's interruptions was met with precise rebuttals, factual corrections, and well-timed pauses that highlighted the contrast between thoughtful reasoning and impulsive rhetoric. Viewers watching from home noted the difference instantly, sharing clips and quotes on social media, many praising Obama for his restraint and sharpness. The former president didn't need to attack. His command of facts and measured delivery did all the work. Even critics had to acknowledge that the line delivered earlier was devastatingly effective. Midway through the segment, the tension had shifted completely. Trump's posture changed. He leaned back, attempting to regain composure, but it was clear that the momentum had swung irreversibly. Obama's single line had set the tone. The conversation was no longer a platform for bombastic claims, but a stage for accountability and truth. The cameras captured fleeting expressions of frustration on Trump's face, juxtaposed with the serene confidence radiating from Obama. Analysts would later describe this exchange as a textbook example of how control, intellect, and timing can dominate even the most chaotic adversaries. By the end of the live segment, the atmosphere had transformed. The audience was energized, some applauding, others nodding appreciatively at Obama's performance. Trump attempted one last retort, but the damage was done. The line about speaking loudly when facts are optional had become the headline moment, replayed across news networks and social media. Viewers debated it, quoted it, and dissected it, ensuring that Obama's point lingered far beyond the broadcast itself. It wasn't just a clever remark. It was a masterclass in presence, timing, and intellectual dominance. After the cameras stopped rolling, both men exited the studio, but the reverberations of that single line continued to echo. Journalists scrambled to file stories, commentators replayed the clip, and social media exploded with reactions, memes, and analyses. For many, Obama had not only defended his record, but had done so in a way that left no room for doubt or misinterpretation. The moment was studied, discussed, and celebrated as a rare example of a verbal shutdown that combined wit, clarity, and gravitas. It was a line that would be remembered for years as a defining moment of rhetorical skill on live television. Ultimately, the exchange underscored a simple but powerful lesson. Authority, intellect, and composure can outweigh volume, bluster, and theatrics. Obama's single line had done more than respond to an attack. It had reshaped the narrative, shifted public perception, and reminded viewers that presence and credibility cannot be faked. In the aftermath, analysts, journalists, and ordinary citizens alike praised his performance, noting how one carefully chosen phrase could reverberate far beyond its initial utterance. For that live broadcast, and particularly for that one savage line, Obama had not just spoken. He had dominated the conversation, leaving a mark that would endure in public memory. Following the broadcast, clips of Obama's line went viral almost instantly, circulating on social media platforms with millions of views and countless shares. People from across the country and around the world dissected the moment, praising the former president's composure and precise choice of words. Memes and commentary flooded timelines, with viewers repeatedly quoting the line, celebrating it as a perfect example of turning a potentially chaotic confrontation into a display of intellect and restraint. Even political analysts and commentators, who rarely showed favoritism, acknowledged the brilliance of the delivery, noting how it effectively silenced Trump without escalating tensions or resorting to personal attacks. In the days after the appearance, invitations poured in for Obama to speak at events, panels, and forums, many of which focused on leadership, communication, and diplomacy. Educators and public speakers used the clip as an example of rhetorical mastery, highlighting how calm confidence and precise language can command attention and respect. Meanwhile, Trump's team struggled to regain control of the narrative as the public continued to praise Obama's sharp response. The incident became a case study in media discussions, demonstrating that preparation, timing, and intellectual presence often outweigh theatrics and volume, solidifying the line's place in the annals of memorable televised exchanges. Over the following week, news outlets replayed the exchange repeatedly, analyzing every pause, every expression, and every word. Obama's line was highlighted as a masterstroke of communication, often contrasted with Trump's interrupted and scattered delivery. Social media was filled with threads discussing the psychological impact of speaking calmly while delivering a devastating point, emphasizing how authority and credibility often carry more weight than aggression. Commentators praised Obama's ability to transform what could have been a heated argument into a demonstration of measured power, leaving the former president momentarily speechless and shifting public perception in subtle but undeniable ways. The ripple effects extended beyond the broadcast. Political commentators debated the implications, journalists interviewed both supporters and critics, and media outlets compiled lists of the most memorable moments in televised political confrontations, with Obama's line topping the charts. Fans of Obama shared anecdotes about how the moment reaffirmed their trust in his intellect and leadership, while even skeptics conceded the effectiveness of his delivery. Public discourse around civility, fact-based argumentation, and composure in leadership roles gained traction, sparking renewed conversations about the qualities that define effective communication and authority. Months after the broadcast, Obama's line continued to resurface in discussions about political rhetoric and televised debates. Universities and public speaking workshops used the clip to teach students the power of choosing words carefully and maintaining composure under pressure. It became a benchmark for analyzing effective communication, showing that even in a highly charged environment, intellect and timing can outweigh aggression. Social media pages celebrated the line repeatedly, with people sharing it as a reminder that calm authority often carries far more influence than loud, unsubstantiated claims. The cultural impact of the exchange also became apparent in entertainment and media. Late-night shows referenced the line in sketches, podcasts dissected its significance, and opinion pieces compared it to other historical moments of public discourse, where a single statement changed the conversation. It wasn't just a moment of political theater. It had become a lesson in strategy, patience, and poise. Obama's mastery of tone and timing demonstrated how a well-placed line, delivered with confidence, can dominate a debate without resorting to personal attacks or sensationalism. It solidified his reputation as not only a skilled politician, but also a commanding presence in public dialogue. Years later, the line still echoed in political discussions and leadership seminars as an example of verbal precision and controlled authority. Analysts often referenced it when comparing communication strategies between leaders, emphasizing how measured responses can dismantle bluster and redirect narratives. Public speaking courses included the clip in their curriculum, teaching students the importance of tone, timing, and content in shaping perception. Social media continued to celebrate the line with quotes, memes, and reactions, ensuring its place in the collective memory of political discourse. Even beyond politics, the moment influenced everyday discussions and debates among citizens. People cited it in meetings, classrooms, and online forums as a benchmark for effective communication. It became shorthand for demonstrating calm authority when faced with provocation, proving that intellect and restraint can outweigh volume and theatrics. The enduring popularity of the line highlighted a universal truth: carefully chosen words, delivered with confidence and composure, can leave a lasting impact far beyond their original context, shaping public perception and inspiring respect across generations.